Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Can't believe this is the last Thursday of June, yes? Right? Crazy. It's crazy actually. So tonight we are going to be talking about setbacks and how to overcome them and how we've been able to overcome them. And I'm going to start, by sharing a little bit about maybe two or three of my setbacks throughout this journey. And so back in 2018, first of all, I've never, you guys, been into fitness ever. I think a lot of times when people hear that from me, they're like, right? Because I guess because they see me show up every day, they assume that I enjoy working out. They assume that I've always been into it, etc. But I haven't. And I'll be honest with you, I'd rather stay in my bed, just saying, instead of waking up at 6 every morning. But what allows me to do that is knowing that there are, other teammates waiting for me. So, but in 2018, is actually when my journey first began. I don't talk much about it because I quit real quick. Jorge and I, so Jorge has always been into running, cycling, soccer. The nutrition wasn't there, of course, but he's always been active. He's always enjoyed activity, and I never did. And I remember even before meeting Jorge and committing to a Beachbody workout, I would sign up for gym membership, Lucille Roberts on Fordham Road. Woo, woo. Okay. So, right. And so I remember that before they had the month-to-month memberships, they used to have that year membership, right? And you had to commit to that. And I would be like, I'm going on vacation with my friends, right? And then I'd be like, oh, I just need to lose like 5 pounds, right? But then I had to sign up for like a whole year membership. And I would go for like a month before the trip, and then I would never go back again. And they would like literally charge my card or, every single month on the same day. And not one time would they call me unless my card declined, right? They would be like, miss, yeah, we need to get paid. But in 2018, I don't even know. I guess Jorge saw an infomercial and we were getting ready for our wedding. And he's like, let's get fit. And I was like, yeah, let's get fit. And I was working in Manhattan at the time. So I had to literally be like in the shower by 6 o'clock because I take forever to get ready. And I had to leave my house by 7. So I had just that 1 hour. And I was like, man, he bought P90X. Anyone that knows the original P90X, that's an hour-long workout. Like Tony was coming for our life. Like he was serious. And Jorge was like, let's do this together. We could do it together. And I was like, yeah, we could do it together. Anywho, we started. I honestly don't remember how far we got. I do remember that we were waking up at 5 a.m. To work out. It was awful and dreadful. And I hated every moment of it. And I remember like the first few, like literally the first week, I was in so much pain. Like I could barely walk. Like I was so sore. And my friends would make fun of me at work because I was walking like probably like if I was pregnant, like waddling, like it was bad. And then Jorge got sick. He caught the flu. And he was like, babe, but you keep on. We've been doing so good. He said, you wake up. And I was like, no, that's not gonna, like, how I'm gonna wake up at 5 in the morning by myself? Come on now. So I was like, nah, I'm gonna just wait for you. Like I'm just gonna wait for you so that we could do this together. And so I waited, right? So I waited, and he got better, and we never jumped back into it, unfortunately. And it's funny because at the end of each video of each day, it would say contact your Beachbody coach, or contact Beachbody to be connected to a coach. And Jorge would be like, Gab, we should get a coach. And I'm like, who? I'm like, I don't know that person. No, we're not getting a coach. I'm like, you, me, right here. That's it. Anywho, then I had Matias, right? And and I signed up because I truly just wanted to lose the post baby weight. And I only signed up, truth be told, because it was 25 minutes. It was Monday through Friday. And I was like, I can have the weekends off. And I really did think about it. You know, I thought through it, and I was like, it's only 25 minutes. Like, I'm in and I'm out, like literally. And I remember watching the first video with Jorge the night before, and I was like, oh my God, this is so simple. Like, this is like, I got this. I totally I got this. And when we started the next day, I was like, I could totally follow Shanti. This is the night before. I was like, Tanya, she ain't doing nothing. Like, come on now. And then I remember starting, literally, I don't even think I was a minute in, and Jorge was like, follow Tanya, follow Tanya. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I was like, this is crazy. Anywho, you guys, I know for a fact that I was able to finish the 10 weeks because I had Jorge with me doing it. And also because I was all up in the challenge group, which is why I always encourage you guys to post in there, to be in there, to, you know, comment on other people's posts. Like, I was that weirdo. Like, I was on everybody's like post, you know. I was like, oh my God, what are you eating? How'd you make that? Can I get the recipe? Oh my God, keep it going, girl. And I didn't know anyone in that group at all. But that's what made me stay connected, right? Because I was always in the business. I was always, you know, encouraging everyone. And then after that, you guys, I fell off. Not right after, I kept going. But in that journey of me building my consistency muscle and building my discipline muscle, there were about, you know, and I've said this out loud before, and it's, you know, it's a little embarrassing, but it is life, and I'm not perfect. And I think that's what makes me relatable to you guys and to, you know, my challengers, and to my coaches, because it's not supposed to be perfect, and no one is perfect. But there was about a 3-month period where I would work out very sporadically. Like, I would wake up and I would be like, I should work out today, right? And Jorge's like, yeah, that's what you signed up to be a coach, right? And I'm like, yeah, but like, you know, I just got so much work to do. You know, I got a coach. And he's like, you gotta work out, right? And then eventually I was just like, yeah, I just gotta show up. And then I started to show up, and then I would, you know, and I've told you guys this before, I would work out, but I wasn't starting and finishing a program. But I was consistent. I was just not following through with a program. And then obviously, I think what I'm trying to say is that this community is what has always brought me back, right? This community has always kept me accountable. This community has always made it possible for me to get back up and to pick myself up and to be okay with failing and trying again, right? And Jorge always says, fail fast, because, you know, the more you fail, the more successes, right? Because it's coming. And the last one that I want to share is my mom. You guys know that my mom had a stroke. Maybe you don't know, but but now you know. My mom had a stroke in 2018, and because of this opportunity, I was home with her when it was happening. Like, I caught it as it was happening. I used to think about it every single day, but, you know, through therapy and all of that, I've been able to move away from that. Not to say that I don't think about it, but not as I did before. But that was my world. You know, my sister, I don't know if she's going to talk about that, but our world got turned upside down. You know, my mom has always been the rock of our family. My mom has always been so active, and my mom was actually doing mes de mas when she was on day 1 of the 2nd week when she had the stroke. And I was home alone. Matias was in camp. My sister was in Texas. Jorge was in the city, and my brothers, but one of them was living in Texas and the other one in North Carolina. And I was alone. And I just remember like reacting, you know, getting her to the hospital. And guys, for the next 2 weeks after that happened, I just could barely function. I could barely, like, I didn't even know, like, I remember my sister being like, you have to take care of your needs, even like the basic ones. You need to drink water, you need to eat, you need to sleep. And I was like, I need to be here for mom. And for 2 weeks, I didn't work out. And the best part is that every single one of the challengers and the coaches were sweating for us. They were showing up for us, and they were tagging us on social media, and they just kept showing up for us when we couldn't. And it was the best gift, the prayers, them showing up for us when we couldn't. And then, at that 2 week mark, when the group was going into week 4, I said to Jorge, I don't know how, but I need to get back into it. And it was because, the team kept showing up for us, and because you guys kept showing up, then it made it so much simple for me to come back. And as it was a struggle, it was hard, it was painful, but we got back into it 2 weeks later. And I think that we all have setbacks. I think that, life always throw things our way. And I always say this, and I think it's so, and I heard this from Rachel Hollis, and I believe it to my core, that it's like when you share a goal, and it's almost like God says, oh, you really want that? Let's see how bad you want it. And he sends these obstacles and these, and just these things that for us, sometimes are hard, and we want to throw in the towel and we want to give up, but I think he sends them, and I actually believe he sends them to strengthen us. He sends them so that we can, become stronger through the journey. And I feel that, this entire journey with, Beachbody, and all the obstacles and all the challenges that we've encountered, I feel that have made me, the challenger that I am today, the coach that I am today. And I'm grateful to God. I heard the other day, and I'll pass it to my sister after this. I heard the other day, I don't remember what personal development I was listening to, but I heard that, or maybe it was in the prayer group, that she said, and I was like, oh yes, that's it right there. I feel that she says that everything that happens in your life goes through God's desk, and he stamps it before it gets to you. Nothing that hits you comes to you before he hasn't blessed it. And I feel, and it just, spoke to me, because I am a true believer that is how things happen. He allows them to happen to us because we just got to remember that he's by our side. We just got to remember to hold on to him. And if he's next to us, then nothing's against us, right? And I feel that it doesn't matter how bad it looks, how bad it feels, what things you're going through, as long as you remember to hold on to his hand, I feel that you're going to get through it. So I'm going to open it up for my sister so that she can share with us a little bit about, her setbacks in her journey and how she's been able to overcome them.
Thank you. I was like, oh, I'm going first. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. Okay. So my Beachbody story starts back in like 2014, 15. I always kind of mess that number up. So it really started a little bit before that. So let me back up. So in 2012, I was diagnosed with PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and it took a very long time to figure out what was up with my body. There was a lot of abdominal pain, pelvic pain happening. It was a mess. And I really, at the time I was probably my mid 20s, and our health, living in the Bronx, but in Fordham, and our healthcare system is such a struggle. And I really got a chance to experience that, unfortunately. And so it took a while to assess what was the problem. And the doctor said, listen, you have two options. I can either put you on some kind of like steroid medication to help you regulate your periods again, or you can try lifestyle modification, but you got to lose weight. And if you don't lose weight, so I said, let me try. I want to try by myself first. I said, and he's like, okay, but if you don't, I hadn't had my period in 3 months, which is why I knew something was wrong because I'm very regular, like super. And I said, let me try on my own. And he's like, okay, if in 3 months you don't get your period, you need to come back and we're going to need to put you on medication. And I was like, fuck. So the journey began. So I was hitting up Lucille Roberts. So funny. We both, our journey started there. And I was doing Zumba. And the weight started coming off, because it was something that I had never done anything. So like it was starting to come off. And so I would say my highest weight at that time was 215 pounds. And I would say about a year later, maybe 2 years later, actually, it came off slowly, but I was just living. I was having fun. I was learning. I was being healthy. I was newly single, so about 2 years later, the most of the weight came off. I think I was, wow, like 30 pounds down. And it came off slowly, but it came off and it was looking very good. Then I moved upstate for a new job in 2014 and maybe 2014, yeah, something like that. And that's, I think, around the time my sister jumped into Beachbody, T25 happened, and she started harassing me because she knew I wanted to lose more weight. And she, I don't know, she just wanted people to get on board with her. She was real hyped, and I was like, yo, she's too much for me right now. I can't handle it. She was just so excited because she saw that it worked, and this is a chick that never works out. So like, I hear her. So anyway, I got to the point where she's my sister, so I'm not gonna say no, you know what I mean? So I jumped in and I got all the way down from 215, to like 30 pounds down. I ended up somewhere between 180 to 160 doing Beachbody programs. And it was the lowest I had ever been, like in my adult Zen life. And I was small and I was feeling good. But not really. Like physically I was looking good. Like if you go back to some of them pictures, okay. But it wasn't all there. And I was living in Ithaca, New York, which is about 5 hours from here. I would say, I don't know, like 3 hours from Buffalo. So somewhere like that. And I was working up there and depression hit me, anxiety hit me. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I still get very emotional talking about it because it was definitely one of the scariest moments of my life. I would say it was, now it's second to when my mom had the stroke, but at the time it was the scariest thing that happened to me because I literally experienced a fog. Like the way you hear people describe it, if you've never experienced it for yourself, that's how I experienced it. A fog, I couldn't think straight. I remember standing in a bridge that was close to my house and I almost jumped off. And I just remember wanting to die so badly because I felt so much physical pain from the anxiety and I couldn't think straight. And so thankfully, I really believe that God was there for me in those really scary moments, and He swept in with some angels, and I ended up being hospitalized, and it was a whole journey. And even through then, once I was out of the hospital, I re-engaged in working out because it was part of taking care of myself. But from 2015, 16, when I went through that really critical time, I ended up moving back home because I needed my people, I needed my family. The weight started to come back on. So from 2016 up to 2020, I've gained more weight than when I started back in 2012. So now, well, the last time I weighed myself, that was a while ago. I don't know now. I was 220 pounds. And I was like, wow, how did I get here? And, I didn't realize how I got here until my sister was like, hey, do you want to talk about setbacks? And I had to write my story. And I'm so grateful that she asked me and I had to write down my story because it's these moments that provide so much clarity. When she asked me, I was like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I don't want to talk about my failure. It feels awful. And as I was writing, I realized that the story that I'm sharing with you, and the story that Abigail is going to share, is not a setback. There's so much success in our setbacks. These are success stories, and I urge you, Karin, to maybe change the name, like the success in the setbacks, because that's what these are. And like I said, I was small, but so was the rest of me. My mind was small. My bank account was small. My health was small. When I look back, yeah, I worked out. I was looking good, but I also didn't eat because I was so anxious. I was, I just couldn't, I didn't have an appetite. I was making enough money and living in a like a area where rent wasn't that much, but I was barely making ends meet. I knew about health, but I saw myself fat still. And if you look at pictures of me, I was not fat. You know what I mean? I think I have maybe more confidence now than I did before, and I'm way bigger than I was at 160. And so what happened was that this setback, I always go back to this story because that was like my first big, just like I just felt slammed to the floor, right? And that's when what really triggered the weight, and then along the line, so many obstacles along the way, including my mom having a stroke, me moving. It could be anything big, but a setback is a slowdown, right? By definition, it could be a pebble. So it could be, oh my God, I just had 2 rough weeks at work, 2 rough weeks at work. That's a setback. And in every single one, that little story to that big story, um, there's something there for you there's a lesson there in that obstacle. And for me, it's been a life lesson of how do you become holistically healthy. And so, yeah, maybe I don't even know how much I weigh right now. I might be still 220. Um, but what I do know is that I'm leading a life that is so much more healthier and like wealthier in all aspects of life. And so by now I can give you examples. Even though I still think through, well, let me start with, I take care of my mind. I have a therapist. I am in group therapy consistently for several years now. I have a handle on my anxiety. I have a handle on those moments when the sadness starts to creep in. I didn't have any of those skills before. None. The only coping skill I had was either not eating or eating, or saying like I want to kill myself. Those were that's it. Nothing else. I had no other skills. And drinking. This is not alcohol, by the way. This is you know, what is it? What is it, getting? Soda? Club soda. Anyway, my nephew calls it soda. He thinks club soda is like actual soda. Anyway, so my soul, right? Like in that darkness, I found God. I mean, I've always believed in God, but in that darkness, I can always go back to that moment and know that He's always there. And leaning in on that faith and growing in that faith has been part of my journey. Financial integrity, I mean, that has been a journey in and of itself, part of this. And none of these things would have come out if I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that set. I'm in pretty a good amount of credit debt and credit card debt. And there's 3 major credit cards I'm paying off right now. And during this pandemic, and I know this is such a privilege and I'm so blessed, I've been able to pay down 1 credit card in the amount of $5,000, and I'm on my way to pay a second one off. And it's going to be paid off by the end of this year. And I've had well-paying jobs. And so like that credit has just been there because you know why? All of that, the weight, the credit, the mind, because this was not healthy. And so that's what I want to leave you with today, that in your setback, there's a success, but the first thing you need to do is you got to change your perspective. And the only way you can do that is by growing your mindset, expanding your mindset. So you got to dig in deep into that personal development. And that looks very different for everybody, whether that's reading, listening to podcasts, getting yourself a therapist. There are so many ways to develop your mind, but you can only start to see something like there's success in a setback, right? That language, changing your narrative. What is your story? What are you telling yourself You can only do that when you expand your mind, because until then, you can only see in this tunnel, right? That tunnel of depression, that tunnel of anxiety, that tunnel of death, that tunnel that I'm going to eat myself, right? To hide the pain. And so this journey is a journey. It's a lifelong. I'm still learning. I'm As much as I've hated those experiences, I've also loved them. And I just want to end by saying thank you to my sister for always pushing me, and I guess asking me to do the uncomfortable things, even if she doesn't know that I don't want to do them. I there's some, even from this moment, I've gained so much, and I keep looking this way because I wrote my story out in a timeline, and I'm just blown away because I carry a lot of that weight still with me, thinking that I'm a failure. And so that narrative you tell yourself is very important. And I think I shared a devotional the other day, and I said in the devotional, it asked the question, like, what story are you telling yourself? So I'll leave you with that question. What story are you telling yourself? And for me, I often tell myself I'm failing, and that's not true. I'm constantly persisting. Thank you.
This is why it's important to jump on these, you guys. I'm like crying over here. So I wanted to read the, it's not the caption of our call, but it's a picture I found on the internet, which I've always heard. It's the comeback is always stronger than the setback, right? I have to say that, I always, when I talk to my sister, it always leads to really deep conversations. And I feel that she nails it when she talks about her, when she's talking about strengthening your mindset, and I think that back in 2018, the reason I stopped working out, and I said, I'm gonna wait for you to Jorge, right, is because my mindset wasn't right. Right. It was just, for me, it was just, I wanted to get cute for my wedding. It really was just that. And I also didn't, I wasn't doing personal development. I didn't have a community of supportive, teammates. And I surely didn't want more from my life the way I want more today. Like back then, I feel like I was just doing the things that I knew were next in my life, if that makes sense, right? I'm supposed to get married. I'm supposed to have kids. I'm supposed to, right, have a degree. I'm supposed to have a good job. I'm supposed to own a home. I'm supposed to. But now these are the things I want to work towards. And it's not about checking boxes. It's about, just feeling good within myself, like really filling my heart and filling my mind. And, this is why when Jorge and I go live all the time, you guys hear us talking about, it's different topics, but it always boils down to the mindset. It's about you really knowing here, because if you know here, it all trickles into your soul. It trickles into everything. That's why I talked about, I don't remember what call it was. Like, I'm getting all my calls mixed up, but I talked about how a box, $160 box, right? With actually, for me, it was $205. That's how much I paid, you guys. That has transformed my life in a way that, I mean, you heard my sister, it's transformed her life in ways that only you can experience, right? I can sit here and she can sit here and you can hear the emotion in our voices, but this box will change your life in a way that it is incredible. You're gonna look back, if you allow it to change your life, and be like, dang, I'm so happy I really invested $205, because it hasn't been about losing 50 pounds for me, right? Obviously you feel good, but it's been about the health. It's how I feel. It's how I think. It's how I'm, raising my son. It's how Jorge and I, continue to do this, getting better, things that our parents would have never taught us or school teach us, we're exposing ourselves to. And it's all because I said yes to Beachbody. I said yes to coaching. And then I said yes to personal development. And we went to Danny Johnson, and the amount of doors that have been opened for us since that moment, because we said yes, because we got uncomfortable, because we got into rooms that we felt this small, because we were like the dumbest people in there. But now, because of that, we have amazing connections, amazing mentors. And I urge you to really pay attention to what your heart desires. I just read something today that said, if it makes you uncomfortable, right? If it makes you feel uncomfortable, that's your inner self. That's God telling you, do it, do it. So, I'm going to pass it on to Abigail. And tonight I also asked Abigail because I know that she's had some major setbacks in her life that have become her comeback. So Abigail, you can open your mic.
Good evening. Hi. Face is turning red. I'm not a good public speaker, but let me just get going.
You're amongst family.
My journey with Beachbody and Gabby started in 2016, right after I had my daughter. I was doing so well with Beachbody, and I was doing it for a couple of months. I was just doing so good, feeling good. The community was just amazing. Then my daughter had her first seizure in November of 2016. She was a micropreemie, so this was normal for her. So I had to stop for a couple of weeks, but then I kept going with it because of Gabby's motivational in my ear, because my daughter was back to being herself. So I kept doing it, and then I got pregnant at the beginning of 2017. I found out that I had HG really bad, so I stopped working out due to doctor's orders. But I never stopped my Shakeology. I did take my Shakeology the whole time I was pregnant. So did that. My husband ended up picking up Beachbody because he absolutely loves Shanti, the insanity, because he's insane, right? So he loves insanity. So he did it, and he got into it. He tried to get me back into it, but I just couldn't find that motivation. You know what I'm saying? I've always followed Gabby though. I've never stopped following her. I was just waiting, I guess, for her to just get in my DM because I didn't want to reach out. And I ended up putting on almost 100 pounds. After I had my daughter, I weighed 130. And then had my other baby, I gained 100 pounds. I was 230 pounds. So I was very unhappy with myself. I couldn't keep up with my kids at that moment. I had 5 kids to look after, and it wasn't easy. Having her O2 walking around, and having a newborn baby in a car seat, it just wasn't there. The beginning of 2019, I had a very big knot in my boob because I was nursing, so I thought it was just a clogged milk duct. Come to find out, I had breast cancer. So I went through radiation, my hair fell out. I was just in this state of depression, and I gave up on myself tremendously. Had my surgery the beginning of this year, and Gabby reached out.
It's okay, because we're crying with you. We're right here with you, girl.
Gabby reached out to me in 2020 of May. And I was already sold. She didn't have to tell me nothing else because the group, the everything about it was what I needed. So I was in there, and I've been here since the beginning of May of 2020. I'm already where I want to be mentally. My mindset is getting back to where it once was. Anxiety is much better. I'm not on my anxiety medication. God is good. That's really what I can say because he placed you guys in my life to be where I need to be. And I'm just grateful for that. So, no matter how many setbacks that you have, you gotta just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. Because if you don't, it's not gonna do you no good. That's all.
God is good every day. Thank you so much, Abigail. I know how hard this is for you to share, which is why I asked her today if she was okay with sharing. And I'm so proud of you for sharing that. Thank you so much. Guys, I think that one of the most important things that has come out of this for me, I think for my sister and from Abigail, that you've heard all three of us say, is that this journey hasn't just been a physical journey, right? We talk about it being mental, but the most important one is the spiritual journey that happens, with all of this. The connection. I remember going to church since I was probably 7 or 9, and having a relationship with the Lord, and then going away to college, and I was like, what, right? Because my parents were so strict, and I lost it. Like I always had the fear of God in my heart, which is what kept me in line. But I stopped going to church. I stopped reading the Bible. I stopped praying. I stopped doing the things that make you feel so close to God. And in wanting to improve the one area in my life, it's what I say, that 205 has been so priceless, because it really has, poured into other areas, which is that connection with God, and being, and him putting the right people at the right time when you need them the most, right? There's always angels here. And I feel that we have that within this community. And I'm so glad that, Abigail came back, and she is such an energy, in our 630. She's such an important part of that 630 crew. And, we're grateful for you. And I know that you're going to do great things. These, and my sister, I feel like these setbacks are that, remember what I said earlier, God stamped those, right? To send them your way, because he knew that you would know how to overcome them as long as you kept him near. And that's exactly.
I wanted to add to what you were saying about we need those setbacks. Like, I kind of breezed through this, but I looked up the word setback to kind of just start my journaling. And I liked the definition, that one of the definitions was slow down. And I think that's what they're meant to do. Slow us down so we can evaluate, so we can see what's up, so we can look and take care of what needs to be taken care of, because sometimes we're just breezing through life, right? And reevaluate what is going on so that we can change things up. And that's right. We always hear that, like, change is always constant. Maybe that's why they're there. And they have this negative connotation, but maybe that word setback isn't so bad, right? You said, Jorge says, fail fast, fail hard, right?
Yeah, I mean, it gives you that I feel like, gives you that permission to, like, get stronger, right? And for you to utilize all those skills that you continue to gain within, through those setbacks. I actually want to open it up to see if anyone has anything to share, maybe any questions for any of us three, just any comments, anything. Just open your mic.
Gabs, can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. I've noticed for myself, when I have a setback, is always the setback is basically what, how can I put it? it's like the groundwork for the next level up of my journey. Does that make sense? Sorry guys, I'm driving. So
No,
I'm
absolutely it does.
so when I've learned, at the beginning it was hard because setbacks, you know, you get disappointed a lot of times, but I've learned to embrace the setback, because when I embrace the setback, I know that when I come out of it, I'm going to be stronger, better, faster, all of those things. So as you go in your journey, you'll learn to embrace the setback and actually be grateful for them. That's all I have to ask or say, actually.
Yes. I feel like gratitude is everything. I remember when Matias was about, I think he was like 3 years old, and he had he either had an ear infection, but he had a fever. I remember he was sick, and it was so high, his fever. And I remember, you know, just trying to make him feel comfortable. And I guess in his delirium, he said, thank you, God, for making me sick. And I was like, whoa, like he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about, right? He was like so sick. And as I started my journey with finding that silence and that stillness, and doing devotional time and prayer time, I realized that the more we're grateful to God, the more he blesses us. And he was teaching me something through my son. And, you know, thanking God for the hardship is very hard. But when you thank him, he takes you above the problem and above that hardship for you to overlook it through his perspective, right? Because nothing is hard for God.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I remember all the time when my son said that. And then I remember, you know, fast forward to when my mom had this stroke. And through it all, you know, I'm grateful for everything, because I know that he has a purpose for all of it. And while I might still not know what that is, I know that one day we will. But in that process, you know, he's growing us. And he, you know, I've heard this before too, that he breaks us to build us up, right? And, you know, through the process of my mom having the stroke, like, I'm grateful. And once I actually sat down to really evaluate everything, I'm grateful for the fact that I said yes to Beachbody, because had it not been for Beachbody, I wouldn't have been home to catch the stroke happening. Because my mom is like, you know, the queen of being stubborn, and nothing's bad. You know, as I was calling the 911, she said to me, no. She said, "Es un calambre." And I'm like, calambre, right? And that means, well, how do you say that in English?
I know it's a
A
Charlie.
spasm, like a spasm.
Charlie horse? A Charlie horse? Isn't it Charlie horse?
Yeah, no, something like that, like a spasm. And I was like, eso no es un spasm. All right. Eso no es eso. Right. And then when the ambulance came up, you guys, she could still stand at the time. And, you know, they made her sit in a wheelchair, and the guy said, "Hey, we're going to New York Presbyterian, which is the closest hospital." And I'm like, dude, just get us to an ER, like wherever. And then when we were in the ambulance, he said, "Ma'am," he looks back and he goes, "I don't know why this is happening. They never do this. They're rerouting us to Montefiore." And I said, "Dude, just go." And then I look back at my mom's journey through this, you know, through her stroke, and she had the best care at Montefiore, the best doctors, you know. And then from there, we were connected to the best rehabilitation, you know, the first facility to the next facility. And then to come to find out they were all interconnected. And his hand has been in all of this since the very time I said yes to Beachbody, because he was setting up this platform for me to be here and care for my mom. And so I feel like when you allow yourself to be grateful for everything that's happening in your life, whether good or bad, he will give you his sight to overlook from his perspective, to know that you will be okay and you will overcome because he got you. Anyone else wants to say something?
I just wanted to say that sometimes we complain about ourselves, or we complain about what we're going through, and we think, all of you girls, like, we see you posting your workout pictures and we're like, oh wow, she's like, because she has time to do it, because she has nothing else to do but workout. And we don't know their story behind it. And then sometimes we just make excuses for not doing it, and then we're just like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. And I see also in other groups, for example, Joel or Shanti groups, I'm on it, and I see these people working out, and they say, oh, today was a hard day because something is going on in my family or this and that, but I still got to my workout to be done. And then that makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm just here at home, and then I'm not even feeling sick, and these people are working out and I'm not, like what I mean? And then sometimes we just complain of whatever little things, and we don't see that we're grateful for being healthy, we're grateful for being able to walk or to do whatever, and we're just putting excuses not to do them. And girls, wow, I'm emotional because, all of your stories make me think, and I've never been through anything like this, and I was just making excuses. It's just been like a year and a half that I've been committed to myself. And it's just, like, sometimes we have the health and we don't appreciate it. So yeah, so I just wanted to say that God bless you all.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's important, right? That we catch ourselves out there, because everyone has struggles that they're going through, has a story, has, something, and we don't get to judge because we don't know, like I see Abigail show up with so much enthusiasm in that 6:30 Zoom, and she got 5 kids, y'all. She beat cancer, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how we gotta show up every day. Seriously. With that enthusiasm, with that energy, with that smile. She always has, literally, she will send me, she'll go to my, how she says that I like slid into her DM? She slides into my DMs today and she prays for me. And she prays, over my family, and she prays over my friends. You find that here. That's family. That's the type of community we have here. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you.
Gabby, I just wanted to say, I feel like, well, first of all, thank you to everybody for sharing. But like you were saying, that's what sets us apart. And you set that example. You don't have to hold these calls. You don't have to motivate us in this way. We bought our challenge pack. It's up to us, right? But you set this foundation and you didn't even have it. I know you didn't have it back then. So I just wanted to thank you, because I think that these are incredible, and you pick topics that somehow just speak to everybody, and you have people that somehow touch everyone when we're on the calls, whether you watch it live or afterwards. So I just wanted to thank everyone who has already shared and who will share in the future, because I know you're going to keep doing this for us.
I'm a mess right now, you guys. Thank you, Rosa, for saying that. I appreciate it.
It's not even Summit and we're crying, Gabs. What's going on?
I know. Every time we go away and we see each other live, we always end up crying at night. We always go to sleep late because we're just bonding like this. So these are so important, and I love having them, and I like connecting with every single one of you guys, because getting to know each other on a personal level is so important, because you know that your sister's here for you, and you know that if you're having a bad day or a bad week or whatever, that you can count on us, you know, to pull you back on. So
Yeah, Gabby, this is Christine. Can you hear me or see me?
we can hear you and we can see you.
Oh, I'm so happy because it took me a long time to get that together. But I just wanted to say a couple of things. You know, I'm new to Beachbody, although Yesenia introduced me about 2 years ago, and I had a lot of mind setbacks. I kept on saying tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. And I bought the equipment, I bought the shake, I bought everything. I'm very excessive. When I want something, I buy every color, every size. And it took me another year and a half to 2 years to say to myself, you know, to get into this anxiety and to this depression, and including with this pandemic disease that came out, that I said to myself, wait a minute. I mean, these girls, they seem to be amazing. And no matter how many times I remember texting or emailing Yesenia, and I want to really thank her, you know, reach out to her, as well as to you and Wendy. No matter how many times I fell off the wagon, you girls always reinforced me to come back. Oh, don't worry, come back. It's okay. You fell. You can get back up. And I think that was one of the things that stayed in my mind. And that's one of the reasons why I'm back. And I've been consistent ever since. And it's really, really therapeutic for me at this point. And I'm able to open up to some of the issues that I've been holding down and back in the back of my mind, and not letting go. So I just want to say, as you guys get to know me, you know, you'll find out more things about me. But I just wanted to shout out to Yesenia, yourself, and Wendy for never turning your back on me. No matter how many times you wrote to me, you'll get back on the wagon. You get back on the wagon. I just want to thank you.
Does anyone
If you heard everything I said.
We heard everything. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you for expressing yourself. And I'm so happy that you feel that, you know, the doors are always open to this group, and that's how it is. You know, we are an inclusive community, and I feel like our doors remain open, whether you walk out for a few months, a month, or whatever, you know, and you always find your way home. I feel that, you know, that's why our group is so special, you know.
I came home.
You came home.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else wants to share? We have 2 minutes. No? Okay. Thank you so much, Mari. I call my sister by her middle name. So if you're wondering, Mari, who's that? She didn't speak. Thank you so much, Mari and Abigail, for sharing, for being, goodness, so vulnerable tonight and just so open to sharing your stories. So powerful, each of them. I definitely leave more empowered, and I feel like that this is what these calls do, right? They leave us better than when we came in. And so I hope to continue seeing you guys on these calls. We will, you know, continue to ask what it is that you want to talk about, so that we can continue to improve your life, and make you feel better than you came in. All right, you guys, have a great night. Thank you so much for joining tonight, and we'll see you the next time.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.